All right, well, let's go ahead and begin. Today we're going to be doing our channel partner training on our enterprise session border routers. These are our VoIP routers. This is an existing product line that we're just making changes to in terms of the overall density and price changes, as well as the SKU structure. So we're going to go into detail on all the changes we've made and also the capabilities of these products. We haven't really focused on these products in the past, and we're really seeing a change in market needs and a new focus on these VoIP router products. So today you'll be hearing from myself. I'm Tyler Galin. I'm in the D.C. area, the Washington, D.C. area, at our Patent Worldwide headquarters, and then you will also hear from our executive product line manager, Ramon Felder, who's over in Switzerland. So welcome everybody, a worldwide audience today. This will probably take around 30 minutes, a little bit longer than our typical monthly channel partner training. There's just a lot of information, a lot of important information in this session. So if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them into the questions tab. If you're going to chat, a lot of people are using the question tab right now as actually a chat box. There's also a chat interface if you want to use that. So we'll cover that in the Q&A in the end. So why relaunch? Our gateway business continues to grow. It's not going anywhere. The gateway market continues to grow. I know people are always saying, it'll eventually start to shrink, but we continue to see the market grow for us. We see it worldwide growing, and we also see more competition jumping into the mix as people continue to release gateways. So we don't see the gateway business going anywhere but up. But as the market evolves, we're identifying a new opportunity to focus on this SmartNode VoIP router portfolio that we have, where we can provide session border controller functionality in combination with QoS routing and security features at the customer premise, and not in the carrier network, but actually at the customer premise. So for the enterprise, we see a significant need for an edge device providing their networks with voice priority, security features, and then also SIP interoperability. We all know that SIP doesn't always equal SIP, so a device at the edge managing the differences between SIP. Now for the carrier, we see the same needs for their customers, but also we see a need for them for a CPE device, so customer premise equipment, providing a familiar SIP interface always at the customer premise for them, providing them with seamless interoperability and then also troubleshooting. So based on customer needs, based on all of your feedback, we've restructured this product line to provide lower density models. So we've taken each of these models, our 5200, our 5480, or 5490, and locked them at lower density models, and then provided you with license upgrades to upgrade them up to full capacity. So in doing so, that gives us the ability to provide you with more flexibility, but also price reductions of up to 40%. So those are going to be the major changes when we get to the end here. I'll go into specific changes to each product and specific SKU changes, but you can expect the more flexibility and then also the price reductions of up to 40%. But before we go into the specific changes, we did want to go into this product line and kind of the different applications and features that they offer. Ramon's going to do this piece. Just as we're starting to focus on these products, we wanted to be sure to do a quick training. So Ramon, I'll actually go ahead and share your screen.
Mm-hmm.
Give me just a moment.
Okay. All right.
Did I get you?
Yes, here we go. Okay, so I hope everybody can see my screen. Welcome everybody from my side as well. So as Tyler already mentioned, we have had the session border router in our portfolios for some time. And here just a quick review why we call it a session border router. As you know, the session border controller is a household term in the VoIP industry, a product or a network unit which provides a separation between two voice over IP networks which are independent in terms of their management, and a session border controller provides improvements in terms of security, reliability, quality of service between those networks. Now, we traditionally located on the CPE at the customer premises, and also traditionally located directly on the access line, we can provide some of these session border controller functionalities, but we can also and have always been able to provide quality of service, access routing, VPN functionality. So there's a lot of routing security functionalities that you know from the SmartNode product line, which is included in there, and that's why we call it a session border router. Actually, today and in the evolving industry, we see a lot of architectures which will actually see up to 3 session border controllers in a network. One is here at the customer premises, so that's what we can do in the SmartNode. Then there is one here at the edge, and a third one between the telephone service provider and the peering networks, long-distance carrier networks. So it's likely that we'll see going into the future a chain of voice over IP networks with, and each intersection point, a session border controller in between. Our strength is on the CPE, is on the small, medium businesses, and that's where we are focusing. Good. So next slide. Let me see how that works. Hello. Sorry about that. Here we go. Now I need to clear that. Okay. So what are the challenges at this connection point? We have protocol interoperability, various implementations of SIP, various supplementary services implemented on SIP with various standards which are not necessarily the same. So protocol interoperability is one of the challenges. Also network interoperability, there can be different topologies. In some cases you have a registration either to the network or from a PBX to the network, etc. You have different numbering plans that you need to manage with just extension numbers or international numbers, number formats, etc. You have security issues at this interconnection point. Obviously, it's a critical connection between an enterprise network that's managed by typically a company and then a provider network which wants to be under the control of the service provider. So who's managing which part? Availability, we still know that the IP networks today don't have the same reliability as the PSTN. What can a session border controller do? What can the CPE do to help improve that with fallback functions, etc. And then the quality, the call quality, the reliability for both voice calls and fax calls is also a challenge at this interconnection point. So the functions that we are providing in the enterprise session border, enterprise session border router, excuse me, are actually many of the functions that you have known from the SmartNode for many years and have been available there. What's new with the session border router is that we make them available in a dedicated equipment without any PSTN interfaces, so that you can get these functions for your applications at a very interesting price. So the call control that you know of, very flexible, policy-based routing between different networks. You can manage the SIP registration inbound and outbound with or without authentication, etc. You have quality-related aspects like the codec management, transcoding, fax interworking, where you may have T38 on one side and G711 fax bypass on the other side and need to interwork between those. You have all of the network level quality of service functions, where you can identify voice streams and other traffic streams, classify them, and then schedule them with the corresponding priority, bandwidth, etc. Survivability is a topic. What do you do if a route fails, if a service provider fails? We can also, with the PSTN interfaces that we can provide, have local break-in and break-out. So there's various options that you can use to make your connection more available and more reliable. WAN connectivity, of course, different DSL, fiber, etc., with the corresponding protocol stacks. Again, these are functions which are also available on the gateways, the integrated access devices, but are now available in a dedicated package with the ESBR. Security, that's mainly provided through the back-to-back user agent on SIP, and we'll see a little more about that. And then interoperability. You know that we have done a lot of interop projects with various PBXs, service providers, and soft switches. Tyler, I got a bad echo right down the line. I don't know. Anybody went on speaker?
Maybe your headset went out.
Yeah. Okay, let's hope it's getting better.
It looks like somebody logged in as you. Hold on.
Okay.
Should be good now.
Okay. Yes, much better. Thanks. Okay, so the back-to-back user agent. On the SmartNode, we can have different SIP user agents, basically SIP clients, which can act independently to different voice over IP networks. So on one side, we have the Internet Telephone Service Provider. On the other side, we have the LAN telephony network. The back-to-back user agent allows to clearly separate those two networks in terms of the SIP protocol and connect them just through the call routing with the corresponding numbering plan. So you have a complete separation in terms of SIP and IP network between the two sites, which provides you with an important demarcation and security level. Then one particular application of that, if we look in the Microsoft world with Microsoft Link, is that Microsoft has implemented SIP over TCP, while most of the service provider, the SIP trunks and gateways implement SIP over UDP. With the SmartNode ESBR, you can translate
Ramon, did we lose you?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Now you're back. You're back.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Good. So, and you can still see my screen, right?
Correct.
Okay. Good. Okay, so similar on the terminal side, there's a lot of standard SIP terminals, often for specific applications like we're showing here in terms of indoor announcement systems, door systems, etc., which are not compliant with the Link SIP TCP implementation, where on the ESBR we can provide this interoperability and make those systems available for integration into a Link environment. Good. Transcoding, also an important topic. The service provider on one side may not be offering or using the same codecs that you prefer to have on the LAN and the PBX side. Many cases, bandwidth is the limiting factor on the WAN access, so you want to use low bandwidth codecs, while on the LAN side there is little bandwidth limitation and you can opt for higher quality but more bandwidth consuming codec. So the ESBR can negotiate that dynamically. If the same codec is available on both sides, then it can be used, and therefore you can avoid to do any transcoding and have lower latency in the network, which is also improving your call quality. But if it's not available, or if you choose to specifically do the transcoding, then we can offer that on the ESBR. The SIP registrar is an element on the ESBR which gives you additional flexibility again in connecting different types of networks. In particular, if you look at IP-PBX systems, they have different strategies or architectures on how to connect to the world, let's put it like that. In some cases, they expect a gateway or an ESBR to register to the PBX. In other cases, they want to register to a SIP trunk. Now, if you want to separate that SIP trunk and the WAN side from your LAN, you can now register to the ESBR, and the ESBR takes over the registration with the Internet Telephone Service Provider. So again, the ESBR is ready for basically any kind of connection. Okay, now if we look at session border controllers, VoIP routers, etc., there are some terms which are important to understand, and which in some cases are also not used in the same way by the entire industry. So it's important to understand how they're defined on our products, which we believe is probably the most common in the industry, to define basically the performance or scale of the ESBR. So in SIP networks, we talk about SIP legs, which are basically SIP signaling connections between two devices. So for example, a telephone and an IP-PBX, or a telephone and a SmartNode in this case. And now talking about an ESBR, we have two SIP connections or SIP legs. And since the ESBR is providing interconnection between the two, the more interesting measure to take is the end-to-end connection between the two phones through the ESBR, and this is called, in our terminology, a SIP session. And that's also the case in, I would say, most of the devices on the market. So a SIP session is a SIP connection going through the session border controller, through the session border router. And the size of a session border controller is then measured in how many sessions it can handle or perform at the same time. Good. Another important term to understand is a transcoded channel or a voice channel. For those who've been working with our voice over IP gateways for some time, they know that we provide a number of voice channels in the unit. So, for example, if you want to do a PSTN connection. And in our terminology, a voice channel is a bidirectional voice call. So each side can hear each other. That's one voice call. Some other vendors have defined a voice channel to be just one direction of a call. So if you want to do actually a conversation with somebody else, you need two voice channels for one call. On the SmartNode, a voice channel is a bidirectional connection between a terminal, for example, and a SmartNode. Now, if we talk about ESBRs again, what's interesting is to know the number of calls in terms of media calls. So with codecs, you can do end-to-end from one phone to the other through the ESBR. And that consists of two voice channels, or the combination of those two we call a one transcoded channel. So one transcoded channel consists of 2 voice channels. So what does that mean now if you look at our SKUs at the different ESBR models that you find in the price list and on our website? We have behind the slash here some modifiers on the SKU. We've defined the letter B to stand for a SIP session, the letter P to stand for a transcoded call, and just for comparison, the letter V stands for voice channels. That's been around for many years. So few examples here. We look at the SmartNode 5200/4B. It means that this unit comes with 4 SIP sessions, and it doesn't have any codecs on it, so it cannot do call transcoding. It just does end-to-end SIP sessions, and this unit then can be license upgraded with additional SIP sessions to go up to 30 sessions, for example. Or if you look at the SmartNode 5480 32P, you now know that the 32P stands for up to 32 transcoded calls. Now, if you ask me how many SIP sessions does it provide, you have to go into the description or the data sheet of the unit, and you'll find that it supports 48 SIP sessions, which can be license upgraded to close to 200. For comparison here, if you take a well-known PRI gateway, the 4991 1E30V, you see here the 30V stands for 30 voice channels, so you can actually do the full PRI with 30 voice channels over IP. Now that same product could also do 15 transcoded calls, as you now know that a transcoded call uses 2 voice channels. Okay, good. So I think that's with that. I'll hand it back to Tyler. I can take control there again for the SKU overview.
All right. Well, let's first look at the overall portfolio. If you aren't familiar with these products, it might be good to take a quick first glance until we actually drill down into the actual SKU differences. If you are familiar with these products, the 5200, the 5480, and the 5490, the only change you are going to see here is going to be actually the X21 WAN interfaces that we're going to add to the 5200 and then again to the 5490. So that's the only change in terms of overall capabilities, but then the other changes will actually be at the SKU level. So looking at these products, Ramon went into a little detail on this. The 5200 is not going to have a DSP installed on the device. It's not going to do transcoding. It's not even going to have a transcoding upgrade. It's really just going to do the signaling for you and then the IP routing. So this product provides up to 32 SIP sessions and then has a built-in IP router with 5 Ethernet ports. Then as you go across, you have your 5480 and 5490. Same product here, just the difference is the 5490 is going to add your WAN interfaces, fiber, G.sh, DSL, X21, and actually soon we're going to have EFM. And these products go up to 196 SIP sessions, and they do have DSPs installed. They do transcoding, so they do up to 64 transcoded calls. With these products, the transcoding license is already installed on the unit, so it's not like our PRI units where you actually have to add that license. These come preloaded. And we will talk about this in a second, but one important thing to differentiate here is the 5480, we're actually now going to offer one model without transcoding built in, so you can't even use an upgrade, and that's just going to give us essentially an extension of this 5200, providing us beyond 32 SIP sessions all the way up to 196. So it's going to allow us to hit the price point you may need in an application where you don't need transcoding and provide up to 196 SIP sessions. Ramon did mention before, this is none of this is really new functionality. Just these are our ESBRs, are most of our fully loaded gateways that we're removing the telephony interfaces. So you can see similar applications with these the gateways that you're already familiar with. You can see the same features. If you go across the board, here's our analog line that you're probably already familiar with, and our 4520, our 4400 with the routers built in. They're going to be able to offer you the VPN, the IP routing, the QoS that you see in these ESBR. So nothing new. It's just you're removing the telephony interfaces. And then again, with your ISDN line, if you're familiar with these products, your 4630, 4650, they also include the IP routing, so you can do the QoS, VPN, you can do back-to-back user agent and security features, but also the 4660 and 4670. And then last, our PRI product lines, 4980 and 4990. These are going to add routing, but also these products add transcoding, as you know, with the optional transcoding license. So just to highlight, this is a big differentiator for us, actually, is that we can offer this type of functionality that Ramon has mentioned within our gateways, not just our VoIP routers, but within our gateways. So now drilling down into each specific product at the SKU level, what are the actual changes that we made? Within the SmartNode 5200, this is that product that goes up to 32 SIP sessions. It doesn't have transcoding built in. This is really going to do the IP routing and then signaling. What's new here is we're now taking our existing model here, our 5232B, so that's our fully loaded unit, and we're actually going to now lock it at 4 SIP sessions. So the old SKU is still going to be available. It's still going to be sellable. There will be a price change here, but we're going to lock it at 4 SIP sessions, enabling you to hit a different price point with your customers who don't need 32 SIP sessions. We're seeing a sweet spot that maybe is in that 8 to 12 SIP session range. So the 5200 will now be locked at 4 SIP sessions, and then you will actually use this new SmartNode software upgrade, this license doing 4 SIP sessions at a time. So that'll give you capabilities to upgrade all the way up to 32. The other changes I mentioned before is we're also adding X21 to this product. So that's going to be our 5221 4BC DUI if you need X21. So for the 5480, the existing SKUs are going to remain the same. There will be a price change, and Ramon can talk briefly about that, or you can look into your existing price list. But the 32P, so 32 transcoded calls, as Ramon just said, P stands for transcoded calls, and then our 64P, which does up to 64 transcoded calls. Those are going to remain as is, and then our new SKUs that we're going to add are going to be the 5480 0P, where we actually remove the DSP. We're not going to have transcoding capabilities built in, so you can't even do the transcoding upgrade. And as I just said, it's really, this product's going to give you the ability to extend that 5200 line where it only goes up to 32 SIP sessions. Now you can go all the way up to 196 SIP sessions and do all the IP routing features that you need. Moving down here, you have the 5480 16P. 16P stands for 16 transcoded calls. So as we said before, the changes are really just going to give you more flexibility, give you more lower density models, and that's what this 16P will give you. So we'll do 16 transcoded calls in this unit, and it will be upgradable to 32 with upgrades. Then last, there's going to be a SmartNode software upgrade. It's going to be the 54P1. That's just going to give you a license for 1 transcoded call upgrade. Then with the 5490, just like with the 5480, all of the existing SKUs are going to remain the same. The only changes are going to be to the pricing. And if you haven't been following us in the last couple of months, the fiber interface might be a new change for you. So we've just added 2 SKUs with fiber interfaces. But as far as what's new here, we're just basically adding a 5490 with X21, and then that whole SmartNode software upgrade of 1 transcoded call. And sort of unrelated here, but very, very relevant, with the 4980, 4990, this is our PRI gateways. We used to just have kind of a bundled upgrade, but now we're going to offer just a SmartNode software upgrade for transcoding. So that's going to be this SNSWGC that's going to enable IP to IP transcoding on your 4980 and your 4990, which come with it built in, but just without it unlocked. So now we can jump into our Q&A, but Ramon, if you want to go ahead and give a little insight onto the price changes, and then they can probably drill down into the price list themselves.
Right. Yeah. So you'll get pricing through your usual channels again. But what we've done is really a competitive analysis of what's there and also demanded in the small medium business space, and we see that there are quite a few session border controllers, session border routers, which start at 5, maybe 10 sessions. So what we've done here is provide you more flexibility, provide you a lower entry point threshold where you can go in with a really attractive price starting at 4 sessions and then flexibly upgrade to whatever you need in your installation. And then you can seamlessly continue from 32 sessions on the 5200, you go to the 5400 without ESPs and increase the number of sessions. So in terms of pricing, we believe that you will find it very attractive and very competitive, and we're looking forward to your feedback on how you see the market introduction with these products. Okay, good. So now let's see if there's any questions from the audience.
Looks like got a pretty quiet audience today. We do have a hand raised, but if you can actually submit a question through the question interface.
Okay, I mean the other option, of course, is if you have questions later, you can always contact us, email us directly, and we'll get that answered. Sure, you're familiar also with our support teams, which are always ready to help out on any questions.
All right, great. Well, let's go ahead and close today's training. You can be looking for a recording of this training in the next week or so, and then we will follow up with our next channel training, which will probably be on our SNBX, which is our SmartNode appliance. So you can be looking for updates on that in the next couple of weeks. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for taking the time to go through this training with us, and we hope you found it helpful, and we look forward to your feedback.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.